Welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner Classic, Less Known Classic. This is episode number 2449, double show number 2343. Okay, first up, we're talking about basically Ghost Rider Hammerline. Yes, this is basically, well, the trade that collect these issues. It's basically the entirety of the fourth volume for the series. And I was looking at basically what was Johnny Blaze's previous appearance prior to this book. Was actually 3 years prior in an X-Force annual. Yeah, it was the annual where they had a reunion with the champions. Yep. This whole mini-series is written by Devin Grayson, artwork by Trent Kuga. But the cover, I believe this is, if I remember correctly, I think it's Clayton Crane that does his artwork. No, sorry, Kevin. And basically the way Johnny Blaze is drawn here as Ghost Rider, it's like they slightly changed the tire. By the way, this is published on the Marvel Knights imprint. This book and the next volume are published in this imprint too. Volume 6 is not. This was released in 2001, and yes, basically, as a follow-up to my comic history episode, is the entirety of Ghost Rider from this time period in trade. From like late 98, 2000s it is, basically like the 21st century was. Yeah. So, mostly put it just Johnny Blaze being office worker, still doing his little shows. Of course, he's back being the Ghost Rider again, first time in a long time. Yeah. And at some point in this miniseries, oh, by the way, I should also mention this. The inking in this book is done by Danny Minky. So I'm thinking, that name sounds familiar. Didn't he work on Batman? Yes, he did. He was the artist for Scott Snyder's run. And you gotta thank Rob Liefeld for introducing him to the comic industry. For that one. Yep. But I had to bring it up, otherwise people were like, really? You bring up Danny Minky? A really good inker? I don't usually pick up the inkers, but he's a very famous inker, per se, but his inking is what he does here is really good. And mostly put, it feels like standard stuff we see for Ghost Rider. It feels like something I see from the original book, where it's like, oh, Ghost Rider versus a biker gang in this small town. Okay. Yep, that's a little of the story of this one. There's some demonic stuff here and there, but it feels like Devin Grayson really toned this down here. Now, if you're really curious, because I'm not going to spoil this, because at the end of the previous volume, or at the end of the his first volume, he lost his powers as Ghost Rider, and now he got it back here. If you're really curious, does the book actually explain how in the world that he got his powers back? No, they don't. He just has them back now. Yeah, Zorto's way back. Apparently, he was turned to a statue. He was last seen, so now he's back here. So, yeah, you can kind of say this book is basically Johnny Blaze back being Ghost Rider again. And after this miniseries concludes, he's not seen again until the 2005 book. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing with the next one. Yeah, basically, it's kind of like, yeah, it's almost like basically Johnny Blaze just doesn't get featured very much at all. Yeah, it's an okay book per se. I do like the artwork here. Devin Gray's a good writer, but this just okay. Next, I have something real. By the way, I give that miniseries a. I'm gonna give it 8.5 out of 10. Next up is The Tomb of Dracula, the complete collection, Volume 4. Yep, this one. Yeah, this book contains issues from Tomb of Dracula 36 through 54, along with Doctor Strange issue 14, the last two issues of Dracula Lives, and his story from Legion Monsters. The book actually starts with the last two stories for Dracula Lives. Now, of course, the main issues of Tomb of Dracula is written by Mark Wolfman, artwork by Jim Cullen. But not in the case of Dracula Lives books. No, not necessarily. The opening story is called The Parchments of the Damned, Part 1. That's done by Doug Minch, Doug Moak, and Sonny Triad. The other one's basically Part 2, Stealers of Blood. You have Doug, basically, I think he does all the stories in here. Yeah, he writes basically the first 4 stories. The last story is written by Jerry Conway. The artwork does change every story. Second story artwork is done by Yam Munto. Steve Geen does the third story. Fourth story is no credit for no credit for an artist. And 5 is basically Sins of Fathers. This is basically Tim Sutton. Yep. It's more basically delving into Dracula's past. A few years prior to events of the series. And then the final issue of the book, the opening stories are by Tony Isabella. Artwork is by Tony DeZiga. Bloody Mary is Rich Magopoulos. And artwork by George Acosta. The Toe, written and drawn by Tom Sutton. The final story of the final issue of Dracula Lives, written by Jerry Conway and Steve Geen. Now, this you might find interesting. Did you know there was an annual release of this series? Yes, there was. Except it was a reprint. Yep, it was in fact a reprint annual because it was the 70s. Of course they had reprints. The Legion of Monsters book, the Dracula story here is basically Stoker's Dracula Part 7. Yep. Yeah. So here are the names of stories for these issues for 3654. 36, The Flight of Fear. This is also the issue where Dracula comes to the United States of America. And kind of mainstream for a majority of the series. 37, The Vampire's Coming! The Vampire's Coming! 38, Blood Rush. 39, The Death of Dracula. Yeah, and he actually just died in this issue. He actually gets killed by... He comes to America as basically he's finding Doctor's son. He gets killed off in issue 39. He comes back a couple issues later because basically he had no choice but they had to bring him back. But they'll kill him later on. Issue 40 is Nightmares Living Dead, basically. And it's like, oh yeah, Dracula's gone, so you gotta defend the world without him. And it comes back in 41, so he's dead for like 2 issues. It's called Rebirth. 42, The Final Battle of the Winged, which is also the last time that Doctor's son has seen the series. Well, he gets killed off here, mostly, but he comes back later. And then we have 43, Paul Brotworth, The Night Stalker. 44, his name is Doctor Strange, which is actually across with Doctor Strange's book. I've discussed it already. It's a really good story here. 45, Crossfire. 46, Let This Be Wed, Holy Matrimony. Yeah, this is basically Dracula taking a bride. Domi. Yep. Yeah, this was actually her second appearance. And she becomes Dracula's wife. And she becomes a recurring character throughout the rest of this book and appears a few issues of the Night Stalker's book in the 90s. Yep. And there's also a thing where she has a son with Dracula. Who... I should put this. The guy is someone... Well... He makes his first appearance in issue 54. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Dracula's married in the holy ceremony we have. 47, Birthright Death. 47, which also is the cover for the trade here. The Song from Merlin. 49, with the war that shall become death. Dracula does bring up to his current bride. He does bring up his first wife and his daughter. Yes, so he doesn't want to keep secrets from his beautiful wife. And this is not a woman who he basically hypnotized to fall in love with him. Oh no, this is very... the way it's written, it seems like this is natural for him to be in love. Not basically hypnotizing a random woman to be in love with him. 50. Where soars the Silver Surfer. Yes, Silver Surfer makes a guest appearance in Dracula, which is freaking awesome. And of course, he last appeared in the issue of Thor. After this issue, he next appears in Marvel Treasure number 13. And we have 51, The Wildest Party. Yeah, of course, you continue the bond between Dracula and Blade. 52, Demons of the Mind. 53, The Final Glory of Deacon Frost. Yeah, Blade got killed off in a previous issue. I think I killed off in, I think it was 51 they got killed off. Oh, they killed the Blade. Doppelganger, mostly. Yeah, it appears to be him, but nope, he actually does come back. And you think, okay, when did they kill off Blade, mostly? Was it 45? Nope, not that one. There was one point Blade was temporarily killed off here, and they created a double of him. They also want him Catelyn Cutlass, who's basically just some guy. Oh, okay. They kill off Blade in issue 49 of the book. He comes back not long after. He comes back in a later issue. Yeah, I think he comes back in 53. He gets resurrected. Yeah, he was not there very long. And then we have 54. 'Twas Night Before Christmas. And that's it. Yeah, really fun book. I loved it. Yep. There's also the Church of Dam, which basically is a church associated with Dracula, who appears in this book. And, of course, they appear a couple more times. That's 54, and that's it. But this is an absolute really amazing trade. I still keep, so I'm going to keep recommending this. Check the series out. It's that damn good. Okay, so that's episode review. Next up, it's quite interesting. We're starting Peter David's run on Incredible Hulk. Okay, next video. Bye.